Hey everyone, it's MJ the fellow actuary, and in this video I would like to show you this very fun flight risk manager game that I created with AI. Essentially, I asked the AI to take the Google Maps and to plot where all of the main international airports are. I then went and I resized the airport into 5 different categories. So the little ones are given by this little dot over here. Then we have airport size number 2 by the bigger dot. Then size 3 is the blue triangle. Size 4 is the golden diamond. And then size 5, these are the big airports, have got the red star. And the idea behind the game is that you choose 2 airports and you then connect them, you select a plane, you establish your route, and you start making money. Now, it should be, well, it sounds kind of simple, admit. You're choosing 2 airports, you're picking a plane, and that's about it. But no, it's actually quite a complicated game, and we're going to play it, and hopefully, this is me demonstrating my game. Hopefully I do not lose the game that I made, but I know that it's possible because this is called, it's not just called Flight Manager, it's called Flight Risk Manager. And risk is going to be the big component in this game because you can chase profit by putting up an unreliable plane into the sky and try to bring in some cash quickly. But that could punish you as the plane could crash, and then you're not going to get a good return on your investment. So with that said, let's kind of jump in to see how we would play this game, because all of the airports also have a whole bunch of stats. It's probably stats overkill. Like, this game needs to be simplified because you click on an airport and it'll tell you, the city and the country, but we have a Wanderlust score. So we can see in Madrid, Wanderlust are the people that want to, go out and explore the world from the city. Whereas if we compare it to, say, Morocco, you can see Morocco from Casablanca, the Wanderlust is a lot smaller than, say, the people in Spain. But what we also have is desirability. So this is, Charles de Gaulle, this is Paris. So this is a 5-star desirability. Everyone kind of wants to go to Paris. But then there's also the tax. So wanderlust and desirability is how much money this link is going to make you. Tax is, tax is going to take away from that income. We then also have the risk level. So a 5 risk level is very good. If we kind of come to some of these other ones, like Carco is, got a risk of 35%, and that can go all the way up to 100, especially if you go to some of the airports. I think we got here, St. Helena. And St. Helena is only 30, not too bad. Peru, 60 is getting quite high. That one is 79. So you want to be very, very mindful of which airports you choose based on the risk. Now, the stars and the squares and the triangles also tell you how many routes those airplanes, how many routes those airports can connect. So if it's a 5-star airport, it can have 5 connections. If it is 4, it has 4 connections, and so on. Now, why that's important is because you can't just connect everything to everything and try to make money. You need to kind of like plan out your routes, because this is not just a single player game. This is multiplayer. So if we were to come in and make our first move, so let's say we want to go Madrid to Istanbul because, low risk on both of them. We got a risk of 3, risk of 10. We're going to come here and we're going to choose our plane. Now, our first decision in this game, is making and choosing the the airports. Now we need to choose the plane to connect these 2. So we can either go with the Airstar, and that'll have a risk of 3.3, or the Tin Bird. The name kind of gives it away, and the risk is going to have 5.3. So 5.3 with the Tin Bird, whereas the smaller plane is going to give us a risk of 3.3. But we need to look at not only that, but the setup costs as well as the income. So income is kind of shown here, and also with the cost. So we're going to be paying more for the Airstar, and we're going to be getting less in order to just save 2% on our risk level. But hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So we're going to actually go with the more risky plane and you can see here it is. It's flying over here. And I mean, when you start playing this game, like for a while, you start creating this huge network of flights. So you can keep the progress or track your progress down here. You can see how much profit and loss you've made on each route, how it's doing, the plane you've got, the airports, as well as the risk. Like I said, this is not going to be a game for like commercial use. This is hardcore, very statistical, very, very nerdy. But if you were playing with friends, like I say, you can have up to 4 players. So the idea would be that each player makes a move once a turn. So let's say we have another player here. They say, you know what, we're going to set up Paris to Madrid, and we are going to go with the Nimbus. So the Nimbus is going to establish our route over here. And then player 3 might come along and say, let me maybe look in at, say, Heathrow, although Heathrow is expensive. Heathrow is going to cost me 100,000 just to connect from Heathrow, and then you connect somewhere else. So that's maybe something you want to wait for in the later game. So in the later game, when you've got more budget, you can maybe do, you know, London to, or Heathrow to JFK. But maybe let's come here and say, okay, hub factor's 50. Yeah, it's expensive, but hey, let's kind of set this one up. And you can see we've got the T airplanes are the cheap ones. Later on in the game, you can start getting the X planes, and they've got a lot better, you know, reliability. So let's go with the Airstar and our risk of 3.6. And you kind of want to be doing a whole bunch of maths in your head to say, is this option here the best use of our funds? And the answer is, it's actually, the game teaches you just to like make a decision, because there's almost an infinite amount of different connections that you can make. Well, not infinite. I mean, you know, we're actuaries, we can kind of do the maths. The number of airports multiplied by it, -1, and then multiplied again by the number of airlines that we have. So I think I've got 150 airlines. So 150 times 149 times, I think there's like 8 or so airplanes. So you can do the maths, but that's like, it's a lot of decisions that you could potentially make for your first turn. And then we'll have, let's say, player 4 comes in, and let's say they want to just connect these two over here. And again, you know, we're looking at the small planes, and I'm just connecting these ones. Like that one I didn't really think about, and that's probably gonna punish me. But what we can see now is we have, each player has got one flight kind of going on. Now there are some strategies that you can undertake. So player 1 can see they have made some nice profit. Istanbul to Madrid is making their money. So the more money they get, the bigger planes that they can kind of start releasing out there. So one thing to do is to actually get your next move is to start from either Istanbul or from Madrid. Why? Because you've already paid the hub cost in order to set up your airline there. So it will be a lot cheaper and makes a lot more sense for us to say, okay, we can actually now go, and we've got the money, so we can go to now London and be a little bit more expensive and check some of the better planes are coming up. So this one here only has a risk level of 1.4%. So it's going to cost 350, but hey, we've got the money as player 1, and we're going to set that up. Now, player 2 is probably cursing, because if you've got a keen eye, you would have seen that the flight from Paris to Madrid has crashed. Yes, so Paris to Madrid, that lost them 118,000. So they're kind of now on the back foot. Of course, they already have paid the fee for Paris, so it kind of makes sense for them to stay here. With a risk level of 5, they got a little bit unlucky, and because their budget's quite low, sometimes the best thing to do is to just simply re-establish that line. And maybe you can see, because they've been to Paris and Madrid before, the cost is only now going to be that of the airline. So even though their plane crashed, it's still probably the best thing to redo it. I know sometimes loss aversion is like, ooh, that didn't work out, let me try a different approach. Now if we come, how is player 3 doing? Player 3 is in the profit, and again, like I say, it makes sense for them to say, okay, we're going to either go from Denver. Ooh, Los Angeles has got quite a high risk. San Francisco, so it's a little bit better. So we'll do San Francisco to Denver. And again, you can see we're unlocking some of the better planes. But, player 3 decides to be a little bit greedy. And like I said, the game can punish you for being greedy because these planes do fall out the sky. Or, maybe you think that's what I need to do in order to get ahead in this game. Player 4, how is player 4 doing? So player 4, they've also experienced a crash between their plane. So they've got 130,000. Maybe they will come in and can they afford the one to Paris? They can only do it on the Tin Bird, which is probably not the best thing to do. What is a cheap airport that has got a low risk? I mean, Italy, 50% on the tax and 60 to get in. That one's also Europe. I don't know why we were playing around in Europe. We should have maybe come down to South Africa. So I know you should establish your links, but let's go Cape Town to. We can also still we player 4 is not looking good. Player 4 really needs. I mean, they lost some big cash on that last deal, so they're going to really hope to start doing a bit better. Anyway, player 4 has made their move, coming up to player 1. Player 1's doing well. I mean, check. I think they're going to soon get their Heathrow into the green as well, and in fact, they're just going to come in and triangulate because that's a really good play to do. They're going to release the Nautilus, right? Because they like the low risk. They understand this is a long-term game. It's a slow burn. You want your airlines to be in the air making money. Taking these risks can actually hurt you, specifically in the short term. I mean, player 2 is basically out of the game. Player 2, I mean, you're at 89,000. Your planes, I mean, this should. I actually worry that maybe the risk calculations are a lot higher because at 4.2% per flight, that shouldn't be falling out the sky. And it would be very awkward if MJ's flight risk manager, someone who studied and teaches enterprise risk management, and it's the risk calculation that is wrong in the game. But it is one of the things that does make it fun. The fact that the risk is quite high in this game. Otherwise, it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Where's the excitement if there couldn't be something going down? But whoa, player 3. Where is player 3? Denver, this Airstar is making the big cash for them. So let's continue. I mean, we're at 633. That is some good cash. I mean, if they almost made, I think if they connect these two together, they can actually get the Aurora. So let's connect the Aurora over there. But player 3 doing nicely. Player 4 down here in South Africa is slowly, I mean, it just needs to make one more flight work, and then this is kind of into the profit. So maybe we'll have Joburg, and Joburg is going to fly out here to Botswana, and we're going to just use the little cloud hopper. I mean, okay, that risk is very high. If we were playing this game for real, we would not do that flight. So the cloud hopper is, again, one of the cheap planes, low reliability. Rather do that link later on in the game with a plane that is going to be a bit better. So player 1 has got 700,000, and we can see when these things work, they actually produce some good cash. So player 1, what do they want to do? I mean, as soon as they get a little bit more, in fact, what they're going to do is they're going to establish New York to Florida, and they're going to go, I mean, there's, like I said, it can become a little bit of maths overkill. In fact, let's rather go with this one. Let's get the lower risk. Let's set that flight up. And then player 1 is setting up for a, transatlantic flight. That is going to be huge for them. Player 2 is red. So finally, After the Nimbus was crashing, the Tinbird seems to be doing a little bit better for player 2. And they're going to try also get in here and, yeah, send out another little Tinbird. And you can see player 2 and player 1 are encroaching on each other, because remember, these 5-star, which are the big airports, can only take 5 connections. And if player 1 wants to do the transatlantic thing, well, London and Madrid, player 2 is just unlucky. Player 2, they just set that one up. They just set that one up and it crashed. Unlucky for player 2. It is player 3's turn, but fortunately that does open up another spot for player 1 to set up. So player 3, this is our American team over here, and they might say, you know what, we see player 1 coming in and encroaching on our territory, so we are just gonna make sure that we have got our linkage to New York. Player 4, how they doing down here in South Africa? Oh yeah, that's they don't have the cash. They really are in a sticky situation when it's coming to the cash, and maybe they're gonna have to just try to take up a bit of a link. And yeah, I mean that's 4%. If they go with the Tinbird, it's 8%. They go to bat smart. So maybe that is slowly kind of connecting that one up there. But let's see how player 1 is doing. Player 1 has got the cash now. They actually need just a little bit more, and then they can do this transatlantic flight. So yeah, they're in the millions. Watch this. This is what the game's all about. It's about establishing these big links and sending out the Titanus. Check out the Titanus. That's like the main plane of the game. And they are going to come out here and establish the transatlantic route. Player 2, how they doing? Yeah, player 2 slowly. I mean, they've got one thing that's a little bit profitable for them. But you can see the game can keep going on, and it's quite a fun game to play. Like I say, a group of friends over, say, a bottle of wine. Everyone kind of makes one move at a time and can see, how well we do. Now, one thing I do want to point out with the game, if you are going to try it for yourself, so I'm going to put a link in the description. It's this, I'm just uploading these things on Netlify. So sometimes if I was to, I don't want to do it on this one, because this one I want to keep playing this one. So if we come out here, and sometimes if you refresh, is it working fine now? Okay, earlier when I was refreshing, the app was just crashing, and then the whole thing was that if that happens, just come to a new tab and hit play, and you're gonna be fine. But like I say, the game can be a little bit addictive. It's fun to play with the group, and slowly you start building up your airline empire. So give it a go, and let me know what is going to be your first connection, which 2 airports you want to connect with, and what kind of plane you want to go with. I mean, player 1 already, you can see once that money starts coming in, they can really start having a lot of fun and setting these things up. Okay, they don't have enough to go for another Titanus, but hey, they can do another transatlantic flight over there. And I think I'm going to end off with one last thing, which I just thought was really cool, is check this out. If you go from South Africa, Cape Town, to New Zealand, okay, and because it's such a big range, you can see most of the other planes can't get that range, but the Concordian X1, it's a small plane, but it can do a long flight. And check this out. The flight then goes actually over the South Pole, which is pretty cool because normal flight paths aren't going to go over Antarctica, and you normally have to kind of make your own little connections. Anyway, we're going to wrap up the video there. And like I say, check out the game, play it with your friends, and let me know what is going to be your first connection. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon for another game, because I've been making a lot of games with AI. I can't wait to show you the B game that I've made as well. But we'll put that in another video for another time. Cheers, everyone.